They say you're supposed to stay until the very end. Hold their hand. Whisper that everything will be okay. Cry into the hospital sheets and pray for one more minute. I did all of that. For 3 years I did all of that. But on the day he took his last breath, I wasn't beside him. I was standing outside the door, frozen, my hand on the elevator button, my mascara running down my face. And that's when I heard the nurses talking. My name is Mira. And this is the story of how I said goodbye to my dying husband, and then found out I never really knew him at all. Let me take you back. Leo and I met when I was 24. He was 30. Charming. Confident. The kind of man who made you feel like the luckiest woman alive just because he looked at you. We married within a year. The first 2 years were beautiful. Vacations. Laughter. Late night talks about our future. He called me his home. I called him my forever. Then everything changed. It started with a cough. A small one. Nothing serious, the doctor said. But the cough didn't go away. Then came the weight loss. Then the fatigue. Leo, who used to run 5 miles every morning, could barely climb the stairs. We went to 17 different doctors. 17. Each one had a different theory. Stress. A virus. An autoimmune condition. But no one could tell us what was wrong. I became his nurse, his driver, his cook, and his wife. I held his hand through every test, every biopsy, every sleepless night in cold hospital rooms. I watched the man I loved disappear piece by piece. His hair thinned, his skin turned pale, his eyes, those beautiful eyes that once sparkled, became hollow and tired. But I didn't complain, not once. Because that's what love is, right? Staying when it's hard. Showing up when everyone else has gone home. 3 years of this. 3 years of my life spent in waiting rooms and pharmacies and ICU hallways. I stopped seeing my friends. I stopped going to work. I stopped being Mira and became only Leo's wife. And Leo became distant. Not angry, not cruel. Just gone. Even when he was sitting right next to me, his mind was somewhere else. I told myself it was the illness. That he was scared. That he didn't mean to push me away, but what I didn't know that day was that he wasn't pushing me away because he was sick. He was pushing me away because he had something to hide. The last 6 months were the hardest. Leo was in and out of the hospital. The doctors finally gave him a name for what he had, a rare degenerative condition. No cure, no treatment, just time. How much time? They couldn't say. Months, maybe. A year if he was lucky. I remember the day they told us. Leo looked at me and said, "You don't have to stay, Mira. I release you." His words were gentle, almost rehearsed. I thought he was being noble, sacrificing himself so I could be free. I hugged him and said, "I'm not going anywhere." But inside, something shifted, not because I wanted to leave, but because I saw something in his eyes that I couldn't name. Relief? No, not relief. It was guilt. I pushed the thought away. I told myself I was exhausted, paranoid, that watching someone die makes you see things that aren't there. Then came the night everything broke open. Leo was admitted to the ICU for the 3rd time. The doctor said his organs were starting to fail. I sat beside his bed for 48 hours straight, no sleep, no food, just holding his cold hand. On the 2nd night, he fell into a deep sleep. His phone buzzed. I never looked through his phone, ever. I believed in privacy, in trust. But that night, something made me pick it up. The screen showed a message. No name, just a number. He misses you. When can you visit again? My hand started shaking. I scrolled up. Messages going back 4 years. Before Leo got sick. Before we even got married. They were between Leo and a woman named Priya. Sweet messages, intimate messages. Messages where Leo called her my life and my heart. He had never called me those things. I kept scrolling. Years of lies, years of secret visits, years of business trips that were actually weekends with her. And then I found the worst part. A message from Leo to Priya dated 2 weeks after our wedding. "She's just a nurse. Priya. Someone to take care of me when I get old. You're the one I love. Always. I was just a nurse, a placeholder, a caretaker, a woman he married so he wouldn't die alone. I sat in that dark hospital room at 3 a.m., holding a phone that didn't belong to me, and I didn't cry. I just sat there. Empty. The next morning, Leo woke up. He smiled at me, that same gentle, rehearsed smile. "Good morning, my love," he said. My love. I looked at him, and for the first time in 3 years I saw him clearly. Not as my husband, not as a dying man, but as a stranger who had used me. I didn't confront him. I didn't scream. I simply stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked to the door. "Where are you going?" he asked. "I need some air," I said. I walked out of that room, down the hallway, past the nurse's station, and I pressed the elevator button. That's when the tears came. Not for him, for me. For the 3 years I had given to a man who never loved me back. And then I heard the nurses talking. They didn't see me. I was standing just around the corner, hidden by a vending machine. 2 nurses, one older, one younger. They were whispering. "Room 204? Leo?" "Yeah, sad case." "Sad? Did you see the woman who just left? The wife?" "I know. 3 years she's been here every single day." The younger nurse lowered her voice. "Did you hear what Dr. Sharma said this morning?" "No." "What?" "He ran a full toxicology panel on Leo last week. Routine. But he found something weird." My heart stopped. "Leo wasn't just sick," the nurse whispered. "He was poisoned. Slowly. Over years. Some kind of heavy metal. And guess who had access to his supplements the whole time?" "Who?" "His brother. The one who visited every month. The one Leo told everyone he was estranged from." I felt the ground disappear beneath me. Leo wasn't dying from a rare disease. He was being killed. By his own brother. And the brother's name? The same name as the woman Priya's husband. A plot to inherit everything. Leo married me to have a legal caretaker, someone to watch him die without asking questions. I was never his wife. I was his alibi. I stood there for a full minute. Then I made a decision. I didn't go back into that room. I didn't call the police right away. I walked out of the hospital, got into my car, and drove to a lawyer's office. Within a week I had filed for divorce. And I handed over everything, the phone messages, the nurse's statement, the toxicology report. Leo's brother was arrested. Priya was questioned. And Leo? Leo died alone in that hospital bed 3 weeks later. No one was holding his hand. No one whispered that everything would be okay. His last visitor was a court-appointed social worker. Some people say I was cruel for leaving, that a wife should stay until the end. But here's what I learned, and I want you to remember this. You don't owe your life to someone who only saw you as a tool. 3 years I gave him. 3 years of my youth, my energy, my heart, and he never loved me. He never even saw me. Today, I live in a small apartment by the sea. I have a cat named Sunny. I go for long walks and drink coffee alone and smile at strangers. I am not rich. I am not married. I am not famous. But I am free. And freedom? Freedom is better than being someone's nurse. So if you're watching this and you're giving everything to someone who gives you nothing back, please hear me. You are not a placeholder. You are not a backup plan. You are not a caretaker for a heart that belongs to someone else. Walk away, even if they're dying, even if the world calls you cruel, because staying won't bring them back. But leaving might just bring you back to yourself. I left my dying husband, and the truth I heard in that hallway saved my life. Thank you for listening.